Hi everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today's video, the subject matter is going to be one of my favorite pieces of subject matter. The greatest car ever made, the Dodge Caliber. This is our old 2009 Caliber. It's been featured in many videos that we've made. So there's a couple of things with it. The other day, the dash went ding, I want an oil change. So we'll service it up. And there's a heck of a growl coming from the front of it. I'm not sure what it is. It's related to road speed, not really anything else. So we're going to see what we can find out with that. We got her up on the ramp so we can change the oil. And now we're going to figure out what else we have to do. Kevin's car care advice tidbit for the day. This is the original service and maintenance booklet for this car. And since it was new, I have followed this religiously. The oil change interval on this car was 10,000 kilometers, which I guess is like 6,000 miles. And the oil change light usually goes off just before that. It usually gives me between 9,200 and 9,500 kilometers before the light goes off. So over time, I've lost a little bit. You can see here. Okay, now I got to explain this book to you. Unfortunately, the book only goes up to 200,000 kilometers. Well, I'm way past that now. We're closing in on 300,000. So what I did was I found this page for notes, and I started a new column, and I just went back using the recommended service from 100,000 to 200,000 and marking in what my actual mileage was. So you can see here at 193,661, I did the 100,000 service, and we just basically are running through it again. I'm sorry, I'm terrible at explaining stuff like this. But anyway, right now we're at, what are we at? 284,573, but we'll actually be doing 200,000 service on it. So what we got to do is go back to the front part of the book and see what it wants us to do at 200,000, right? Oh, lots of stuff. Look. Well, I found as many parts as I could to do this job. Here's our new oil filter. I've put a little grease on the seal to put it on. I got 4 new spark plugs, a new air filter. I usually use Mobil 1 oil, but I came across these 5 liters of Kendall liquid titanium somewhere, so we'll use that in this. I don't think the car should care too much about that. I've got the old oil filter off. I'm just waiting for the residual dripping to stop, and we'll screw our new one on. Then we'll dump the engine oil. While the oil's draining, I'll go around with this can of spray lube here, and we'll do all our hinges, locks, latches, all that sort of stuff. It only takes a minute. While I've got it sitting on the ramps here, I'm going to have a preliminary look at and see if we can figure out what's growling in the front of it. It doesn't sound like a bearing, although I guess it could be. It's pretty loud. To me, it's kind of like a tire noise. You know, it's got that, you know, that hum that a 4x4 with aggressive tires makes. It's kind of a thing like that. So these here are Michelin Defenders. They're pretty decent tires. And the first thing we're going to do is just a laying on of the hands. And I can tell right now that we've got a problem. So what happens is when I push my hand across the tire this way, I'm catching on sharp edges. When I pull it back, everything is smooth. Very interesting. I bet I'll get the same thing on the other side. Let's see here. Push it in. Yep, catch sharp edge. Pull it back. Smooth. So what that is telling me is this thing is towed out, and it's towed out enough to start sawtoothing the tires. So that'll kill your fuel mileage, And Deb was saying she thought it was using a little more gas than normal, and it'll also start getting hard on your wheel bearings because you're just putting a lot of extra load. So what we'll do is about 2 years ago, the front subframe was changed in this, and it got 2 new control arms and all the tie rods and everything, and it had a 4-wheel alignment. So we're going to crawl underneath and make sure that the bushings aren't spewing out of the control arms again and go from there. Everything looks okay with the control arms. So I guess maybe stuff is just kind of settled in a little bit over time. Well, I'll check what the actual toe setting is once I get it off of these ramps. Another part of this job is to check the 4 CV boots, and they are all fine. But what I did see, look at that on the bottom of this CV joint. That's coolant. So I haven't noticed any appreciable loss of coolant, nor have I smelled anything. But that is definitely coolant on the CV boot, and what is right above there is the water pump. So next time I'm ordering parts, I'm going to buy a water pump for this thing, and I guess that will be when we will change the belt that the book tells us to change. So I'll order that stuff this afternoon, and that'll be a separate video later this week. While I'm under here, we're going to have a go at this fog light. I've pulled it out, and to my eye, the bulb is not burned out. When these things burn out, they'll turn black, or sometimes they'll turn almost like chrome. And this doesn't look that bad. The filament is not burned. So I do recall back when I had to run a new ground wire for this headlight because it mysteriously stopped working one day, and you can see that ground wire I installed up here. I kind of wonder if whatever happened to that ground also grounds that fog light. Just a guess. We're going to pull the bulb out and see what we can find out. There we go. We put in a new ground wire and ran it up to this screw here like we did the one for the headlight. And our fog light is back working again. Super. What we're going to do now to check this stuff is we've got the weight off of the wheel. The wheel is, we just put the jack under the K member, and we've got the wheel off the ground. And we're going to first wiggle it this way, and we're just feeling for any play at all. And there's nothing. Anything that way? Nothing. Oh, make sure it's in neutral. There we go. And we can just feel how it turns. A little drag on the brakes, but it's just fine. The bearing feels good. And on this side, we also have the hanger bearing because this car has an equal length half shaft setup. So we can feel or hear that bearing, and it's good. I'm going to go over and check the other side. I'll be back in a minute. Now this side is a different story. You can hear the brakes drag a little bit. I don't really feel anything in the bearing when I turn it. But when I go like this, there's definitely a little bit of play in that bearing. So this bearing is starting to go. So it looks like I'm not going to change just one. I'll order 2. So we're getting a little bit bigger job to do now, don't we? We've got 2 front wheel bearings and a water pump and a drive belt to do. But that's what we got to do to keep the old Dodge caliber. Now we'll get it off the stands, and once it's back on the floor, it'll be easier to reach. I'll recheck the oil level and change the spark plugs in the air filter. Now, to cancel the oil change message, you just flick the ignition on and push the gas pedal to the floor 3 times. Air filter on these is pretty easy. It's right in here. You just pop this apart. I'll have to put the phone down because you need both hands. You just kind of hold that apart, lift the old one out, put the new one in, and you're good. All right, there's that all back together. Just don't forget when you're jiggling this thing around to make sure that these connections stay put and you're okay. Now we're going to go ahead and change the spark plug. So first thing we have to do is, this thing is coil on plug. So probably the best thing I should do right now is get the air hose and blow all this crap out, because we don't want stuff in here falling down in the engine. So the camera might not catch this, but there's a lot of crap flying out of here. I mean, even if you don't have a compressor and something like this, just one of those little spray cans with the straw that you use for blowing crap out of your computer keyboard, that'd be fine for this job. See this? One time I was working on trying to get the exhaust manifold off, and I swung a hammer and missed and found out that the valve cover's made out of plastic. Knocked a big hole in it. Anyway, we JB welded a little patch on it, and it's been like that for years, so I guess it's okay. Now we're going to get a Torx bit and take out these here 4 screws. Then we just pull them out, and the wires are all the right length, so you can't screw up the firing order when you put it back together. That one's a little tight, but it comes out. Okay, now we'll get the plugs out. I can't remember if it's the big plug socket or the little one. Probably the little one. Well, they don't look too bad, do they? Every one that's exactly the same. They got that nice tannish color on them. This thing is running peak. So, but anyway, the book says change them, so we change them. Every 40,000 kilometers, I guess that's 25,000 miles, it says change them. They're cheap. I'm not going to argue with the book. We're going to change them. Got our new ones gapped to 44 thousandths. They came right out of the package, right spot on. And we can just turn them in by hand and then tighten them up with the ratchet. Then we can put our coils back on, put our little set screws back in, and we can start it up and make sure it's okay. Okay, so that's that. I double checked my oil level. It's good. Coolant level good. You can see lots of washer fluid in it. We're going to be dealing with the fan belt when we do the water pump. I got to order parts. I guess that's it. We can close down the hood. What I got to do now is push it in, and seeing as how I got one wheel bearing bad in the front, I'm going to jack it up and check the back ones. I checked the rear wheel bearings. They are A-okay. So let's go over our list here. Change the oil and filter. Done. Rotate the tires. Like I explained before, that'll get done when I put the snows on. Inspect the brake linings. All right. I did the back brakes, rotors and pads this spring. Again, I'll double check it when I do the snow tires. The fronts, again, last fall I put rotors and pads on the front, so I will check that when I put the snow tires on. Replace the air conditioning filter. I have to order one, and it will be here in time for next weekend. I'll be doing a video about that. Inspect the CV joints. They were fine. Inspect the exhaust. It was good. Inspect the front suspension components. Did that. All boots and linkage parts. Everything good. Replace air filter. Done. Replace spark plugs. Done. Adjust the parking brakes on vehicles equipped with 4-wheel disc brakes. I didn't need to do that. My parking brake, it's just fine. When it needs to be adjusted, I can tell, you pull the thing up and it just has too much throw. But this one is still fine, so I didn't have to do that. Rear drive assembly fluid, power transfer unit fluid, not applicable to us. This is only front wheel drive. Automatic transmission fluid and filter, not applicable to us. Flush and replace the engine coolant. I did that recently when I did the thermostat job. That's in a video from a couple of months ago. And it'll be getting dumped again when I do the water pump this weekend. Replace the accessory drive belts. Again, I'll have to order one, and I'll do that when I change the water pump. So I guess that's it. Our service of our little Dodge Caliber is complete. And something I did forget to show you, I checked the windshield wiper blades. They're in good shape. I don't think they're even a year old. I think I put new ones on it when I did the body job back in the spring. Anyway, so that was a little bit of work. That was kind of a major service on the old Dodge Caliber, but It's not really good to go now. We got to order a front wheel bearing and a couple of other parts and do some work on it. But the service part of it is done. It just needs repairs now. Anyway, that video will be up probably within a week or two. And until then, thanks for tuning in. And this is Kevin checking out from the Claremont Classic Garage. So long.